Hey everybody, and welcome back to the 9 Frames podcast. This is episode 37, and it is Monday, October 16th, 2023. The championship series have kicked off with the ALCS. We're going to get into that and set you up with our NLCS predictions. As always, I'm Bill Whalen.
And I'm Mike Whalen.
You can catch us, as always, on YouTube at 9 Frames Podcast. We are on Spotify at 9 Frames, and our X is at 9 Frames Pod. We're going to get into all the action from last night and set you up for the week ahead.
Yeah, man, we're down to the last 4 teams. Only one can win. We got some hungry teams, too.
Definitely. Pretty wild to see. I think 3 out of 4 of these teams we predicted were going to have pretty good runs here. But, man, Arizona really surprising everybody. Got to give credit to them and look forward to the series coming up against Philadelphia.
Yeah, they've played some really good baseball since the postseason started, and we'll set it up and get into it right now.
Yeah, let's get into the great stuff.
We're going to start this episode off with the lone game of Sunday, the beginning of the American League Championship Series.
Yeah, we were waiting all day for this one. The Silver Boot Series hits the big screen, and everybody's got their eyes on it. Only game in town.
It has a big series feel from the very first pitch. Bitter rivals, man. These fan bases don't like each other. The teams really don't seem to like each other that much.
Absolute heavyweight matchup here, and some really fun stuff going on since it's all Texas. They got some fun promo packages with Post Malone and shit. I don't know, man. It's a pretty exciting time for Texas in baseball.
Yeah, 2 teams that finished with the exact same record. As we remember, the Rangers lost the division to the Astros on the final day because they lost 1-0 to the Mariners.
Yeah.
The Astros, they're used to being here. As we also said, this is their 7th time in a row playing for this American League Championship.
You could almost make an argument that that adversity that the Texas Rangers had to deal with really woke them up, and they've been a phenomenal team since then.
Yeah, it does definitely appear as if it's been a shot in the arm for the team. They've all woken up. I mean, the pitchers especially have just looked on a different level besides that one game in Baltimore when the bullpen gave up a bunch of runs, but it was a 9-run lead already.
Yeah, they responded back, or they already had the lead for them, so I guess they were playing comfortable that day.
Yeah, they must have just gotten a little complacent, but anytime it's been a close game, the Rangers' bullpen and starters have really just clamped it down and gotten them to where they are right now.
Most definitely.
As far as the postseason is, because they've had a couple. Just how many shutouts have they had? I think 2 or 3, maybe. I know they've at least had 2.
At least 2, yeah, and they've been playing some really, really good
in 6
teams.
games.
Particularly offensive teams have been really great that they've played too, and they've just been shutting them down.
Probably after playing the Astros, I'd say they probably played the 3 hardest teams in the American League besides themselves, like the 3 best.
I would definitely agree with that. Yeah.
So it's not like they have an easy path, man. They're just winning games that they're earning.
Yeah, super impressive run for the Rangers, and this matchup has been set up as Dynasty versus Destiny.
Yeah, so we saw that guys like Max Scherzer and John Gray were question marks heading into the series. We got some clarity yesterday as the rosters were due by 11 a.m. our time for the series. Scherzer and Gray are both on the roster and healthy.
Yeah, Max Scherzer and John Gray get activated and out of the ALCS roster. At least Scherzer is looking to play a big role in the series. I'm sure John Gray will probably come out of the pen for them, maybe even be a Game 4 guy. Who knows?
They were saying if they don't use Scherzer out of the bullpen in Game 1 and 2, they didn't use him last night, so I don't foresee them using him tonight. It'll
depend how the game script goes, but yeah.
I don't know, because they already won, we'll get into it, but being where they are, it doesn't. We'll get into it a little bit. So the first game last night, it was kind of surprising. I thought that the Rangers might go with Nate Eovaldi because he's just been absolute nails. But Jordan Montgomery gets the bump, and it's not any shot at Jordan Montgomery. He's been probably the most effective trade deadline acquisition in baseball.
Yeah, no, I had the same notion as you that they would go with Nate, and it isn't a shot at Jordan Montgomery at all. It's just saying that Nate Eovaldi has been an actual October legend in his career so far, and you usually tap that guy on the shoulder.
Speaking of October legends, Montgomery would be matching up with the first ballot Hall of Famer, Justin Verlander, who has just insane career numbers, and then when you look at his postseason numbers, it translates. Like, the guy just does it.
Definitely one of the most consistently clutch pitchers in baseball history.
There are no lights too bright for Justin Verlander. And both of these guys would really show up for this game. It would be an absolute pitcher's duel for basically the entire game, as both starters go 6+ innings, which was the first time this postseason that both starting pitchers went 6 or more.
Yeah, it was a really beautiful game to watch. Really well played by both teams.
In the same game, that is.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah, for sure. Getting that much length in the playoffs by both of the starters is impressive for sure. The offenses weren't too quiet either. They kept making some noise, but the pitchers kept working out of it with some great defensive help behind them, too.
Absolutely. The Rangers would get going first. They would get to Verlander for a singular run in the second inning, and it was courtesy of a Jonah Heim single. The Rangers are just built with guys that they went and picked from other organizations, and the lineup just works. 1 through 9, it keeps going.
We were looking at it. The roster is surprisingly, and the lineup particularly, is surprisingly much less homegrown than people are making it seem like. They've only got 3 players from their own system and then a bunch of solid players from other systems. It's a really well-built team.
Yeah, I never had a problem with saying, you bought a World Series. Dude, that's part of the game. They got the money, spend the money.
I mean, that's not part of the game, and that is the game.
Yeah.
That's what you do, bro.
If you got it, spend it. And the Rangers have it, and they spent it very effectively.
There's 2 different ways to build a winning ball club. You could build it through free agency and trades, or you can build it through draft and development, and you can't fault either one of those paths.
Yeah. So, Heim singles to make it 1-0 in the second inning. So they get to Verlander early for 1. He would settle in and only allow a second one in the it was the 5th inning, and it was Leody Taveras' first career postseason home run. We were watching the game, man, and he got all of it.
Yeah, so like we said, not a lot of homegrown talent in the lineup, but there is 2 of the homegrown names stepping up huge in this game.
Oh, yeah, 2 of their homegrown guys were probably the reasons that this game ends the way it does.
Definitely.
Taveras gets his first homer of the postseason and his postseason career, so congratulations to Leody Taveras. That puts the Rangers up 2-0. That would be all the offense that Texas would get off of Verlander, whose final line ends up being 6 2/3 innings pitched, 6 hits allowed, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 5 Ks. That's a great start in the postseason. American League Championship game?
Frustrating game for Verlander because he really was dealing, but the Astros just could not fight back against Monty.
No, Montgomery was just a little bit better, unfortunately. He was just unbelievable. He goes 6 1/3, only allowing 5 hits, no earned runs, a singular walk, and 6 strikeouts. So he technically did outduel Verlander.
He's been pitching like an absolute pseudo-ace, man. He's really stepping into that spot. It's so impressive to see, and I hope he gets that bag he deserves.
Yeah. Oh, he will. He's pitched himself into a large amount of money, whether it's with Texas or with somebody else.
If Texas is smart, it's with Texas.
Yeah, but you never know with guys. I mean, sometimes guys like Jordan Montgomery might just want to take a bag and hit the road.
He seems like a guy who definitely likes Texas and likes playing there, so we'll have to keep an eye on that in the offseason.
And they definitely like him for what he's been doing for them. So he outduels Verlander, and it would be 2-0, and the Texas bullpen would lock it up afterward, just to polish off a nice 2-0 win in Game 1. No runs on the board for Houston. They go up 1-0 in the series. Spores, Chapman, and Leclerc all had scoreless outings, as the Astros offense only mustered 7 base runners all night.
Yeah,
How crazy is that?
They end up getting 5 hits and 2 walks. Can't get any runs across the board. Super impressive work picking up Montgomery by Josh Spores as well. He's been really clutch for them down the stretch because you think about it, Aroldis Chapman and Jose Leclerc, these are names. Josh Spores is coming up. He's not a household name, but he's playing like it, man. Props to him.
Yeah, and speaking of Chapman in that 8th inning, we almost had another moment of Chapman in Houston. He narrowly avoided disaster. We were talking about the Rangers' homegrown guys. Left fielder Evan Carter makes an insane catch. Bregman, I think it was, hit one all the way to the outcrop corner in the left center gap, just to the right of the Crawford boxes, and he just missed it. Carter makes a leaping catch, and then Altuve seems to make a blunder that I don't think I would ever expect him to make.
Bases are bigger than ever, but not big enough for him.
He runs past second base, doesn't tag back up, and goes over the base to run back to first so he doesn't get doubled up, but he misses the base and ends up getting doubled up anyway.
Yeah, I saw people confused about this. His foot slipped off the bag as he fully rounded the bag, and he kind of ran perpendicular to the base instead of stepping back on it to go around again.
Yeah, he never retouched up, and the Astros fans went from thinking that was a game-tying 2-run homer off the bat of Bregman, and it ends up being a double play that kills the inning.
Not for nothing, really savvy double play by Marcus Semien.
Oh, he was looking right at Altuve's feet.
He was waiting to make that play. I was so confused when he originally did it because I was like, no way that a guy like Altuve could have a mental lapse like that, but he did, and they end up getting a left field to first or second base double play.
That's why you pay veterans like Marcus Semien, because of his veteran awareness, and he's just in the game. He's keeping everybody at bay, all calm, staying under pressure. I mean, he's one of those guys. He's a great leader.
And Evan Carter was talking about how that funky jut in the wall made him play it a little bit weird. I think him playing it a little bit weird was probably what threw Altuve off so much in the first place. Yeah. Phenomenal catch by him. Just kind of a mental lapse, and it hurts for sure.
It didn't look like Carter needed to jump. Mm-mm. He didn't know how far he was away from the wall was the thing.
Yeah, he was just trying not to hurt himself, and it worked out for the best for him for sure and the Rangers.
Yeah, he was being overly cautious, and he makes a great grab and saves the game for the Rangers.
Mm-hmm. The Rangers go up 1-0 in the series with a 2-0 win. Really dominant game for their pitching and defense.
Yeah, and the series is going to roll on Monday. They're the first game at 4:30. The matchup, as it currently sits, and it'll stay this way, is Nate Eovaldi, who's 2-0 with a 1.32. He's given up 1 run in each of his first 2 starts, picked up a W in both of them.
Always fun to watch him work in October, and I don't think this one's going to be any different.
He's going to be taking on Framber Valdez, who's 0-1 with a 10.36. We remember he had a rough game against the Twins.
Coming off the only loss that they took against the Twins, so, I mean, that's kind of rough to be sending him out. I don't know how he's feeling confidence-wise, but this Rangers lineup is much better than the Twins, so...
I have a piece of information about the Astros roster that I think is mind-blowing. Framber Valdez is the only left-handed pitcher on the American League Championship Series roster.
No one even on the pen?
Nobody in the pen. They're all right-handers.
That doesn't seem smart.
It doesn't seem smart at all, but I mean...
Rangers do have a lot of righties. Not going to lie, when you look at that lineup, it's kind of a lot of righties and Corey Seager. Right?
I guess, but you can't really play for matchups then at all. No. I mean, Tavares is a lefty.
Seager's got to be licking his chops.
Yeah, I mean...
They a big power lefty and see all righties on the other side, you got to be feeling good.
He knows that there's no chance that a left-hander's coming out of that pen.
Not for nothing. It helps the righties, too, to know that you won't be seeing the ball come out of that left arm slot.
I don't know. It's kind of weird to think about how there's never going to be any dynamic switch-up in terms of handedness.
And Houston's a really strategic and dynamic team. They're smartly managed, and you wouldn't think that happened. I don't know. I guess they just didn't have any lefties they trusted enough.
If you're the Rangers today, man, you got to think, we got to get to Valdez, and then we know a right-hander's coming in. They've got no other left-handed option to stop us.
That's kind of what the key to that game is going to be probably, is the right-handed bats stepping up early against Valdez so that the left-handed bats can step up against the bullpen.
I personally think that puts a lot of unnecessary pressure on Framber Valdez.
Has to. Not only Framber Valdez, but also all those righties in the pen, man.
Yeah, but I mean,
specialty lefty.
Valdez is coming off of a pretty rough start. As the only lefty now on the roster, I mean, if it could get messy.
I'm a pretty firm believer that you can't really build a super successful bullpen without a specialty lefty in it.
I mean, the way that the game's gone today, you need at least one or two lefties that can get out. Yeah, I mean, it's a bold strategy. We'll see if it works. It didn't work in Game 1. I mean, their offense didn't score any runs, so you can't really blame the right-handed bullpen.
No, not at all. And actually, the pitching was very impressive by both teams in this game. So
yeah, I mean, the Astros bullpen gave up nothing in Game 1, so... we're going to roll on to Game 2. We'll see what happens with that right-handed dominant bullpen, and we'll see if the lefty Valdez can bounce back after having a rough start in Minnesota, or at home against Minnesota. It was in the same part. I like the
Rangers' chances in this game. I really do feel good about the Rangers right now. We both had Texas in 7 in this series, man, and this is kind of the thing. I know it's only been a game, but, man, I don't know if it's going to be that much of a dogfight. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. The Astros really need to get this game today, I think, because if they don't, then there's the possibility of them going back to Texas with Max Scherzer on the bump for Game 3.
Yeah, that first game could have obviously flipped a coin, and it could have gone the other way. If the wind takes Bregman's home run ball out, and this game's tied there at the end.
We don't know how it goes then.
So this should be a fight to the end if Houston can hold up their end of the bargain in this game here.
Yeah, and we said that the expectation is that Scherzer, if he's not used out of the bullpen today, which I highly doubt he is, especially after the Rangers picked up a Game 1 win, why would you do that when you could use him for Game 3? I think, in my opinion, he will be getting the ball to start Game 3. If they decide they don't want to, maybe they could put John Gray on the mound for Game 3 and then push Scherzer to 4.
Could also go with the Dane Dunning or Andrew Heaney combo that they liked last time.
Could do that too and just have Gray come out of the pen. They got options, and we were talking about it on the last episode, and this is really going to be beneficial for the Rangers that they are at the right time getting healthy. And these guys, I mean, they're going to be rested now. Scherzer is going to be fully rested. He hasn't pitched in, over a month and a half?
It's been a little while, yeah, for sure.
He's going to be ready to go.
The Rangers are definitely feeling good right now, and it's going to be pretty exciting. If they can take this game, they're going to feel great going back.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an exciting series. The Astros could have definitely taken Game 1 if the bats just woke up a little bit more for some timely hitting. But, hey, it's anybody's series. Houston's used to being there. Texas haven't been there in 9 years, 10 years?
Houston needs to defend their home turf tonight, and if they don't, they are definitely in some jeopardy.
They haven't been in the CS since 11, so it's been, 12 years?
Well, the CS since 11 and the playoffs since, 16? Yeah.
So, I mean...
Which is when that great Houston run started in 2017, so...
Yeah, Houston has a lot of playoff experience, so they know how to handle losses. We'll see if they are able to respond to that loss in Game 1 today.
Finally, both of these teams are good, and it could not be more exciting for Texas baseball.
Yeah, keep the rivalry going.
Taking it on over to the National League for the last National League series of the year, the National League Championship Series. And we didn't foresee this matchup happening when the playoffs started. No,
definitely not with the absolute juggernauts that were in the National League between the Braves and the Dodgers, man. We didn't think that these two teams would be the teams duking it out in the NLCS, but hey, that's baseball, and that's why it's amazing.
One of the things I actually said pretty early on in this postseason is that baseball is a super unpredictable sport. But if there was one thing that I was going to predict, it was going to be an NLCS between the Dodgers and Braves, and neither of the teams made it.
I thought out of all of the divisional series, the easiest series would be for the Braves to take care of the D-backs based on history and how they play them and how well they know them. But the Dodgers just did not show up in that series, and the D-backs, to their credit, man, they've looked just as good as the Rangers, honestly.
I think you said the Braves to handle the D-backs. You meant the Dodgers.
Yeah, I meant the Dodgers. Yeah.
No, the Dodgers have had the D-backs number for quite a while now. Not this year, but for a while. And this postseason run was the complete opposite. They got pretty much dominated out.
Yeah, I mean, we were looking at it. The Dodgers have their number for a while now, and the D-backs just show up in the way that the Rangers have in the postseason, and they're like, we're not going to lose.
Yep. Philadelphia will look to defend their National League crown from last season, which was another phenomenal playoff run. They are quite the offensive juggernaut themselves in October, huh?
Yeah, definitely. They've become a definite force.
When it becomes playoff time, you should be worried to see Philly red.
Very interesting that we still have a decent chance to see a rematch of the same World Series from last year, Philly and Houston.
Yeah, that could definitely happen.
They're two of the Final Four.
I bet both of those teams have that in mind for sure.
I mean, there's no way they can't be thinking about it. It's one of the other two teams on the other side, but you can't think about it too much because then you don't worry about your current opponent and you might lose.
Very true. On the other side, Arizona is looking to make their second World Series in franchise history and their first since 2001 as they came into this playoffs as the 6th seed.
Yeah, that 2001 World Series was when they beat the Yankees, so it was their third year of existence or something.
Yeah, they were definitely new.
I mean, they haven't played an NLCS game since 2007.
Where they lost to the Rockies, I believe 4-0 in that series.
It's been a minute since they've been here, so I'm personally definitely excited to see the D-backs play on a stage this bright.
Definitely. They haven't had this chance in a while, especially this group of guys. This is their first chance for a lot of them.
I mean, Corbin Carroll's been a shot to the spine for that team. I mean, he's their backbone now. Him, Marte, and Walker. Those guys carry them.
Adrenaline in human form, those young guys, for sure.
That trade for Gabby Moreno and Gurriel,
Yeah, Moreno's a stud, and
Gurriel had a great year.
It's worth noting that all of these playoff teams that are making a deep run have really solid, at least defensive catching positions. Mm-hmm. They have solid catchers. I think it's very important to have a solid catcher to be a good team.
I think in a couple of years, we're going to be talking about Gabby Moreno as one of, if not maybe the best catcher. I mean, he is. He's got the tools.
That wouldn't shock me at all. He's really a stud.
He is an absolute stud. I can't believe the Blue Jays gave up on him and Gurriel. I mean, they love Varsho in Toronto, but they gave up a lot for him, I will say.
Hard to disagree. The Phillies and the Diamondbacks did play 7 times during the regular season this year. Philadelphia won the season series 4-3 over Arizona.
So it's close, but I mean, like we were just saying about the D-backs and the Dodgers, the season series really doesn't mean anything much anymore because it's a clean slate. Mm-hmm. It's 0-0.
Yeah, I mean, last time they met was mid-June as well. These teams aren't the same unit as mid-June.
No way.
That's a month before the a month before the trade deadline.
The D-backs went through their whole swoon after that.
Didn't have Seawold at that point, nothing like it. The team was very different.
They're also
Philadelphia took 3 out of 4 in Arizona during that series, so it's pretty even all year, but Philadelphia was impressive in the season series for sure.
Very interesting to see that when they played a 7-game series, it was 4-3, so it would have went 7 technically. I mean, we don't know how the games went, but 4-3, they seem to be a very even team against each other. And
hard to disagree.
I'm very excited to see these two teams go at it. And Philly's crowd is just one of the best.
Electric, and they get to host.
They will be very loud tonight.
Game 1 taking place at Citizens Bank Field tonight at 8 p.m. on TBS. That'll see Zach Gallen coming off a solid 5 1/3 innings, 2-run performance in Game 2 of the NLDS versus Zach Wheeler, who's just having a great postseason all along, coming off another quality start. Should be a real show tonight.
Yeah, the Phillies' pair of aces have really stepped up for them in this postseason. I'm glad that the matchups are lining up where it's the two best for each team right now, like Gallen versus Wheeler, and then we'll probably see Kelly versus Nola, and those are 2 games that I will be glued to, man. Yeah. I know you love pitching duels.
Definitely. I was going to say a little bit later on, this series is built for me for sure.
Yep.
An exciting time for pitching and defense, which is what we saw last night as well.
But it will be tough for the Phillies to cool off that red-hot D-backs offense, man. Yeah. They're putting up runs with ease.
Yeah, and all of the division series ended before 5 games, which is why all of the pitchers are ready to go right off the bat. It's really the best case scenario for entertainment value.
Yeah, very true. Everybody's pretty much rested, and it's going to be a fight between these two, much like it is in Texas.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, Game 2 tomorrow, we'll see Merrill Kelly, who just won 6 1/3 shutout innings in the NLDS Game 1 squash of the Dodgers, versus Aaron Nola, who was an out away from a quality start in a 10-2 also rout of the Braves in the NLDS.
Yeah, these guys were both at the helm of the blowouts we were talking about the juggernauts in the NL, the Braves and Dodgers just getting kind of wiped.
Nola went 5 2/3, gave up 2 runs, and had 9 strikeouts in that one, so it was a really solid game for him, even though he didn't get that last out.
Yeah, he had to work hard because it was the Braves. They made him throw a lot of pitches, but still 9 Ks and 5 2/3, man. That's nothing to hang your hat on.
Impressive to say the least.
That is something to hang your hat on, man. That's a great start.
This is my kind of start to a playoff series, as we were saying. We got 2 absolutely phenomenal pitching matchups, and I hope they live up to what we think they will. But whose offense you think steps up, man?
It's really tough, man. It's hard to pick against the D-backs with how they've looked against 2 division-winning teams.
Both of these offenses are so hot. They're 2 of the only teams to put up double-digit numbers in the playoffs. I think the Rangers are the only other ones. Right?
Against the Orioles in that one game, yeah. Can I pick both offenses are going to step up?
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but then again, I don't know if either one's really going to step up with the pitching matchups.
Oh, I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you right now. Throughout the course of this entire series, they're not going to be contained.
No. Through the series,
are you talking about these two games?
These first 2 games are some really great pitching matchups and some really great back ends of the bullpen. That's going to be tough to get runs across.
Yeah, I mean, Wheeler's been a dog for them. Gallen is their ace, so we're getting. I think Wheeler has pitched himself into being the ace of the Phillies staff.
Definitely.
That's not to throw a shot at Nola. I mean, he's been great in the postseason, but regular season combined with postseason, Wheeler's their guy.
I wouldn't be surprised right now if Nola himself told you that. These guys are usually pretty respectful to their teammates and can recognize when one guy's on a hot streak and they've been struggling a bit.
Yeah, you got to think that if they make the World Series and everyone's rested accordingly, Wheels gets the ball game one.
As he did as he will in this series.
He did in the wild card, he did in the DS, and he
probably
did in
will.
the CS.
He probably will game one to start next regular season, so don't be shocked if that happens.
Exactly.
Game 3 is still to be determined for both of these teams. That's going to take place on Thursday, so we will update you guys on Wednesday.
I think we could assume.
It looks to be Brandon Pfaadt versus Ranger Suarez.
Yeah.
Based off these team strategies. That's really the only other pitchers they've used.
This was the one thing that I'm very interested to see for the D-backs, because where the hell do they go after that?
I don't know.
Ryan Nelson, maybe?
Unless they feel like they have enough rest to send Gallen right back out there. I mean, now they play again Friday.
Yeah, they play
can't do
3.
a Monday to Friday would be rough. I guess that's a 4-day rest.
Maybe
right?
it'll depend on how the series looks. If they're down 2-1 or something and they need Gallen to go out there, and maybe he'll do it. I don't know, though. The D-backs only have 3 starting pitchers.
Yeah, their options are not deep right now, so that can be a bit of a struggle, especially with how great this Philly offense is, because if the starting pitchers struggle in these first 2 games, which can happen, then the bullpen's going to be really tired out with a lack of starting pitchers coming up.
We haven't really looked at it yet because it probably got released as we're recording, but the rosters are most likely out, and I'm curious to see how the D-backs even structured this.
I will also say, now that you actually mentioned it, good catch, I did see that Rhys Hoskins did not make the NLCS roster. So we will not be having a Kyle Schwarber-esque run by him.
I mean, when Schwarber came back, he came back in the World Series. If they make
Did he last time as well?
Against the Cubs?
Oh, did he?
Or for the Cubs, yeah.
But last year he came back for them for the full postseason.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying first time.
Oh, it's possible. Yeah, he was coming back from that torn ACL, and he came out for the Cubs in 2016. That is true.
Yeah, I mean, Hoskins, if they make the World Series, maybe he's got a chance to play in that World Series, but then that leaves the question, what do you do with Harper?
Yeah,
he can't go to the outfield.
No, it'll have to be either first or DHing. So it'll probably be DHing.
So are you putting Schwarber back in the outfield?
Probably be trusting Schwarber in the outfield, which is going to be a little bit worrying. But with injuries and everything, it's all you can do.
I guess. Man.
Unless you have to. You really have to. And
it'll be interesting to see for sure.
We gave our official predictions for the ALCS on Friday. We both had the Texas Rangers going in 7. So I wanted to ask your official series predictions in this one. I know what mine is.
Yeah, since you went first for the American League, I'll go first this time. I'm going to give this to Philly in 6.
I mean, no disrespect when I say this. I got Philly in 5.
Wow.
I think it's the lack of depth in starting pitching and just the fact that Philly's been here before. It's really no disrespect to Arizona. They've had a phenomenal run. I just kind of think Philly's going to put their foot on the neck here.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible for the D-backs to win this series, but I think, like you just said, them being here last year and going the next step to the World Series even and playing 6 games there, I think it's going to help them. They've got some different players in their lineup this year, the Phillies, like Rojas and Marsh, and I mean, it'll be interesting. I think that the Phillies are going to win this in 6.
Yeah, I was between 5 and 6 games, so I understand you giving them a couple of them. I was trying to do the math, and seeing them get 2 games against the Phillies just doesn't really add up to me. I think that I see them getting 1, but then again, it didn't add up for them to sweep the Dodgers to me. So I mean,
or the Brewers.
They could definitely be proving me wrong again, as they did this entire postseason. I wouldn't be super shocked, but yeah, no, I got Philly in 5. You got Philly in 6, and we both got Texas in 7 to see a Phillies versus Rangers World Series.
I was actually between Philly and 6 or 7, man. I think the D-backs are going to make this tough on Philadelphia.
Yeah, we'll have to watch. Game 1 kicks off tonight in the primetime slot.
Yeah, everybody get your eyes ready, because, I mean, the fun stuff is about to start, man. We got 4 teams left. They're going to start playing harder. They're going to start getting chippy. I mean, it's going to be fun.
4 teams, 1 trophy. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening to this episode. As always, this has been episode 37 of the 9 Frames podcast, and it is Monday, October 16th, 2023. I've been Bill Whalen.
And I've been Mike Whalen.
You can catch us on YouTube at 9 Frames Podcast. We're on Spotify at 9 Frames, and our X is at 9 Frames Pod. We hope you guys have been enjoying all of the postseason coverage we've been bringing to you, and we look forward to bringing to you the full championship series coverage and the World Series ahead. Yeah, I mean, we're getting close to the end. And someone will be crowned the champion. Will it be a repeat? Will it be Phillies getting redemption on the team that beat them? Or will it be an entirely new matchup? Yeah, it could even be the Texas Rangers getting their first World Series ever they're the last team that can do that, as the rest are champions previously.
Yeah, I'm rooting for them. I mean, everybody should have at least one. It's pretty rough to go against fans when they have the ammunition that you got none. So I'm pulling for them, and we'll see how it goes, man. It's going to be interesting.
Should be a super exciting end to the 2023 season and postseason here. It is some team's destiny to hoist that trophy in the next week or so, and we don't know which one it's going to be, but we can't wait to see.
Yeah, everybody lock in.